Words have always been very powerful things. They were powerful before they could be written. Everything that is negative destroys part of the harmony of life. And as long as a human being is devoted to anger, hate, fear, jealousy, he will also have to pay for these moods in sickness and misery. Words have to be carefully considered and weighed. Usually, negatively used words in good-natured people represents a type of ignorance. It represents the fact that the individual does not think carefully or does not actually know the correct approach to verbalization. To use words, then, you must use them correctly. The English language is a very important language, but it is one that is seldom studied scientifically and philosophically for the purpose of knowing the true strength, meaning, and power of word sound, letter of the alphabet. And all combinations of letters are magical patterns, magical forms. They even go further than this. In Indian philosophy, each letter of the alphabet is a living deity. And out of the combinations of these deities, sounds are produced. Vocal cords are a kind of vina, by means of which the individual can make a melody of his thoughts, emotions, attitudes, and beliefs. But words are alive. Held that words were so powerful that once spoken they never die. That a word goes on as a rate of vibration forever. Realize that the vocal cords were the positive pole of the generative system, and that the vocal cords would actually come in due time to be the source of all eternal life. That all lives that have a continuance, either in time or space, are produced by vibration, and vibration is man's instrument of creation. We don't realize this now, and probably won't for a long time. But the fact remains that if we say a word, that this is a sound that is a part of life. It becomes an eternal part, just as much as a germ or a cell or any other minute unit of life goes on, even though its echo dies out. So we know that if we say a word that is destructive, that it adds to the burden of the world's misery. All these different things, like different types of human error, accumulate. All destructive vibrations do continue long after we do not hear them or see the consequences anymore. Therefore, in using words, we should be very careful to use only the ones, and you use them properly, that will most likely produce concord, harmony, amity, and relationship. In this particular case, I think in the words we can say that use of a word is to convey meaning as far as is possible. The word is used to say something that is, to us at least, true. It might not be true to another person, but if it comes from the true course of our own integrity, then the word is properly used. In conversation, there is no need to constantly consider these techniques, but there is an over problem which is usually solved by outside circumstances. By religion, for example, the individual is induced not to use destructive words. He is not permitted in his religion to nurse hatreds, nurse jealousies, or think or speak ill of other people. This being true, the words themselves are tempered and become less powerful for a destructive end. Also, the use of good words accumulates. The kind word never dies. The gentle word never dies. The creative, the helpful, the hopeful words, these live on. They go not only to the person to whom they address them, but they are rates of vibration. A word is something that man can create, but which does not die after it is once created. Therefore, words, like thoughts and emotions, are immortal. They go on long after what we have suspected they stood for. And the word in itself, passing into another life, another person's life, it influences the life of that person, changes a habit, corrects a mistake, strengthens a hope, and therefore continues to be an immortal factor, not only to the person but to the generations which follow after. Also, therefore, the misuse of words is a very serious mistake. Now, a misuse can come from ignorance, which the individual cannot help, because he is not well enough informed. But on